yours. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Maria Cecilia Cruz. Councilmember Matias Rosales. Councilmember Luis Cabrera.
Present.
Vice Mayor Gloria Torres.
Present.
Councilmember Javier Vargas. Councilmember Tadeo Sael de la Hoya. Mayor Nieves Raydell.
Present.
Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you.
Item number 2, discussion items. Item number 2A, discussion and review on any and all matters regarding the proposed City of San Luis budget for fiscal year 2024-2025 by staff, department heads.
Okay? Can you hear me? Okay. First of all, thank you for being here. Thank you for the staff that were able to put these together for all of us to be here. Thank you for your time, your effort. It doesn't go unnoticed. It's highly appreciated. At this moment, I would like to take just a minute of silence for our police officer. I should have done it last Wednesday, and I completely slipped my mind. Can we take a minute of silence in memory of Jesus, our sergeant, please? Thank you. And I'm going to ask Ms. Torres, would you please give us the guidelines?
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, department heads. For the public that is viewing us, we don't have any public in person right now, but I do want to mention that we are being streamed live, so be respectful of that. Make sure your phones are on vibrate. If you need to talk to, your person next to you, try to whisper, please. If for the people on this row, if you need to use the restroom, go outside. Please go through the back. Don't go through the front, as departments will be making the presentations. We do not have a call to the public, so public is not going to be, will not be participating in any of the discussions or questions. If you have any other questions or any issues, just text me and we'll try to address it. I wanted to thank everybody for putting this setup, the logistics together. I know Antonio was here last night at 9 o'clock, still working. Our IT staff, our facilities, our communications. I really want to thank everybody, and especially the departments, for putting the effort in making the presentations. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Cámbiale el micrófono.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and council members. It's my privilege to begin today's sessions, where we'll be exploring our city's financial outlook, challenge, and opportunities. We will discuss our fiscal strategies, talk about our priorities for the coming year, which include operational needs, infrastructure investments, new personnel, reclassification requests, salary adjustment, market. Our goal is to ensure this commitment to service, sustainability, and community development. We have a significant agenda ahead of us, including reviewing our revenues forecast, evaluating our expenditure trends, and considering critical investment in infrastructure and services that are vital for our community's growth and well-being. The primary objective of this budget retreat is to share with the City Council the highlights of the proposed budget. We will be talking about the challenge, new developments, and what is in store for next year. I will be providing you with a financial overview of the expenditures and revenues proposed for fiscal year 2025. The department heads will give you an overview of their departments. They will talk about what they have accomplished in fiscal year 2024 and what are their goals for fiscal year 2025. This is an interactive session and your insights are invaluable. I encourage each of you to provide input, suggest adjustment, and help us reset priority as necessary. It is imperative that our budget reflects both our collective vision and the needs of our community. Lastly, this is an opportunity not only to plan for fiscal year 2025, but to set the foundation to plan for the future and to discuss future opportunities to the city through the exchange of ideas. The budget planning and preparation phase takes about 6 months from beginning to end. It starts in December with the delivery of budget guidelines. Several budget reviews meetings took place in March and April before culminating into the budget retreat meeting. After the budget retreat, we will work on council input from this workshop and prepare the final tentative budget, which we expect to present to the City Council for approval on June 12, 2024. The tentative budget is published in the local newspaper for 2 consecutive weeks, and it is submitted for public review. At this stage, the council receives public comments and can request to adjust if needed. It is important to mention that once the council approves the tentative budget, the ceiling amount for the budget is set. That means that we cannot increase our expenditures, but we can decrease it. At the end of June, we plan on holding a public hearing on the budget and submitting the final budget for adoption. Upon adoption, the budget becoming the legal document that will give us authority to spend funds as directed by the council. For fiscal year 2025 budget, our primary objectives include maintaining current services level for residents, enhancing staff retention and recruitment to address job vacancies, expanding road infrastructure to accommodate San Luis growth, and upgrading wastewater and water systems. We plan to invest in parks and recreational facilities for the community and stimulate economic development to create jobs and improve our residents' quality of life. I'm excited to share that our proposed budget draft is now available in a user-friendly digital format. The digital budget book is designed with individual pages for each department, making it super easy for residents to navigate and explore detailed information about how their tax dollars are being used. You can find the book on the city's website, and I encourage everyone to look and see how we're planning to allocate resources. Now we are going to talk about the financial historical data. This chart presents the revenues and expenditures history for the past 4 years. We are looking at actual figures for fiscal year 21, fiscal year 22, fiscal year 23, and fiscal year 24 and fiscal year 25. The budget amounts are presented. Over the last years, you can see the first column. Okay, the first column represents expense, and the second column represents revenues. So our trend has been, we have been finished our fiscal years with positive balance, which are creating the reserves that we have. You can see for fiscal year 21, 86 million on expense, and revenues 69 million is citywide. And fiscal year 22, 76 revenues and expenses 7 million. Fiscal year 23, 97 revenues and 97 million, and expenses 91 million. So we are expecting to have the same trend for fiscal year 24 and fiscal year 25. I would like to add that the budget amounts for fiscal year 24 are higher because it includes the Cesar Chavez Boulevard for the amount of 32 million that we are not included on fiscal year 25 because it's going to be handled by the state. So if we remove the Cesar Chavez Boulevard budget amount for fiscal year 24, the fiscal year 25 are higher than fiscal year 24. The expenses are higher by 15 millions and the revenues are higher by 9 millions. We are going to talk about revenues. These charts represent the revenues by fund for actual amounts 21, 22, and 23. And we have amended budget 24 and 25. By fund, you can identify the revenues amount by different funds that we have in the city. Fiscal year 21, the city revenues were 64 million, and fiscal year 22, revenues decreased due to the return to pre-pandemic levels. And fiscal year 23 indicates an increase, and for fiscal year 24, we are anticipate revenues in the amount of 76 million, and for fiscal year 25, we are anticipate the revenues for 85 millions. We are going to talk about the general fund revenues. General fund represents the largest and more important recurring source of revenues for the city. The general fund is what sustains the government activities associated with providing services such as police, fire, parks, development services, and internal support functions. For next year, we are budgeting $32.6 million, which represented 38% of total revenues for citywide. You can see the revenues for general fund by category. We are expecting for fiscal year 25. As you already know, our state urban revenue sharing was decreased for fiscal year 25, and the urban revenue sharing, which is the largest amount that we are going to receive less, is 2.3 million less. But total amounts for state for the urban revenue sharing we are going to short by 2.7 millions. I want to address the impact of the new 2.5% flat individual income tax rate on our urban revenue sharing. The flat tax rate effective from January 1st, 2023 replaced a graduate system where higher earners paid more. This shift to a uniform rate means that overall state tax revenues have decreased because high-income individuals are not paying less than before. Consequently, there is less income tax revenue for the state to distribute to the cities through the urban revenue sharing. For the city of San Luis, this reduction in urban revenue sharing funds means we must reassess our budget priorities, potentially affecting the level of services we can provide. We are actively exploring solutions to manage these financial challenges effectively. On this graph, you can see the state revenues, and this is our city sales tax. We are estimate to increase our city sales tax for fiscal year 25. This is 5 years of to compare. The state, you can see on the state sales tax and urban revenue sharing and vehicle license tax that those columns for fiscal year 25 are decreasing. And this is our urban revenue sharing with the higher difference amount that we are going to receive. We are going to talk now about the expenses. These slides represent the expenditures by fund. The actual amount for fiscal year 21, fiscal year 22, and fiscal year 23 are presented alongside the budget amount for fiscal year 24 and fiscal year 25. We can see the variance between fiscal year 25 against fiscal year 24. We were conservative in our budgeting, not significantly increasing our budget for fiscal year 25. These funds the funds with significant increases are water and wastewater, which highlights in yellow. Oh, where is it? Can't find it. Okay, it's in yellow. And I wanted to share you the variance between, okay, there you go. The variance between fiscal year 25 and fiscal year 24 are shown here by fund. So you can see the funds that we are going to increase our budget for fiscal year 25 are wastewater and water, as I said before, and highway user. And all the funds are conservative, and the difference here on the special revenue community development is because the Cesar Chavez Boulevard. Oh, it's the Cesar Chavez Boulevard, sorry. You want me to repeat the slide? No? Okay. And so far, there has been 10.4 million increase in expenses compared to our 2024 budget. I removed the grant expenses on this chart to give a clear picture on how much more the city is spending on services provision compared to the previous year. The areas with the most significant increases are salaries with 1.1 million, followed by capital improvement plan project at 9.4 million. So these charts represent expenses by classification or category. So the difference here are capital out, capital item, and salaries. Capital item and salaries. Here. The special services category is less because we allocate non-capital project, non-capitalized to capital project that we are going to capitalize. We can sustain these increases as they are for water and wastewater, and these funds have sufficient resources to cover their salary and CIP expenditures increases. These charts represent, the first column are the amended budget amount, and the second column is the proposed budget for fiscal year 25. So you can see the first one, the first category is capital items, that you can see the difference is 10 millions. And long-term debt and maintenance and salaries is 1 million. Special services, almost the same amount. So we were, Mayor, council members, and Vice Mayor, we were very conservative doing our operational expenses. They are the same than last fiscal year. This chart shows the fund performance for all funds. We can see that for several funds, the result is negative. It's not needed to conserve the general fund, water and wastewater. General fund is, this chart represents the budget and revenues expenses distribution by fund. So this is our balance, the balance net of our, sorry about that. This is the balance net about our fiscal year 2025 budget. We are negative on 13 millions, and the big funds that have negative balance are wastewater, water, and general fund. Unfortunately, solid waste and highway users do not have reserves, and currently the general fund is helping offset the shortfall of HERF. The reason HERF is showing positive is because the impact fees revenues are included. If we remove the impact fees revenues from highway user fund, so we will have a zero balance because general fund has subsidized HERF. We transfers in money into HERF from general fund. For financial sustainability, increases in operating expenditures must be matched with recurrent revenue streams. Capital projects and one-time expenditures may be funded with positive fund balances. We are going to talk now about the highway user funds. We need to discuss an important issue with our budget for highway user funds for fiscal year 2025. Right now, we're facing a deficit in these funds. We have allocated 4.0 million to the capital improvement plan to cover streets costs, but we still need to use 3.6 million from our general fund to make up the difference. This situation shows that we are spending more than we have, and if we continue like this, our reserve funds will run out. We must be careful and think about how to find more money to support our roads and infrastructure. It's crucial that we manage our finance wisely and look for new ways to bring in funds. This chart represents for capital outlay. The first one represents the capital improvement plan budget for fiscal year 2025. The proposed CIP budget is 34.7 million. We are increasing our expenses from the previous year by 2.0 million without Cesar Chavez Boulevard. The funds with most projects are water and wastewater. Of the total grant amount of 13.9 million allocate here on the grants, on grant funds, we have 4.6 million for ARPA funds that we are going to allocate on wastewater. Just to mention that department managers estimate projects for the next future 6 years in amount of 139 million. Here. On this chart, on the chart that are below for the fiscal year 25. We are going to talk now about amount expenditure limitation that we have set by the state. Arizona Department of Revenue Economic Estimate Commissions direct the amount for the limitation for the cities. The penalties for municipalities for exceeding the expenditure limit are severe, and one of the penalties is that if we are going to go over our amount for expenditure limitation, they will keep the urban revenue tax. We are not going to get any dispersed amount. For fiscal year 2025, the expenditure limitation for the city of San Luis is 60 million. Acting City Manager Ms. Jenny Torres met with the department heads to reduce capital projects to meet this amount to be compliant with annual expenditure limitation amount. Pardon me?
Can I ask a question on that?
Yes.
Is that based on, where do they get that number from? Is that based on our prior
It
years
is-
or our
is-
reserves?
It's based on the population, and there is a formula with the population for 1978, last year population with the percentage of the inflation. So we can go back with you, Councilmember Rosales, to make sure that the formula. But there is a formula,
Okay, I was just
They-
curious. Thank you.
yes.
I would like to add, is there a way to override that formula? Or how can we spend more money
Yes.
above the 60,000,
Yes.
or the 60 million?
Yes, we need to go to the home rule, and this is a process that we need to do through the ballot. We need to have the vote. The residents, they will go and they need to vote so we can have approved to increase this amount. And we are going to talk about the reconciliation of the budget expenses fiscal year 25 with the amount of the limitation amount set by the state. We're requesting, this is the current salaries, we are requesting 1.1 million on new personal requests, and we are requesting the classification by 165,000. And we are going to request the salary adjustment based by market for the amount of $850,000. And when we had our budget meetings, we were over the expenditure limitation amount by 19 million, but let me see, I have my notes here, somewhere here. So, the acting city manager, Ms. Jenny Torres, met with the department managers to review, delay, and reallocate proposed capital project for future years to meet the expenditure limitation amount. As part of budget strategy to reduce fiscal year 25 expenditures, we reallocate budget capacity from projects for fiscal year 24 that will not be completed to project equipment and items that were requested for fiscal year 25. We are also proposing to allocate funds to implement the citywide salary-based market adjustment in the amount of $850,000. For new personnel requests, the amount is 1.1 million, and for salary reclassification is 165,000. For reference, please look at page 28 and 29 of your budget book. I always like to give a refresher on the financial policies we utilize during our budget preparation process. We manage a 6-month operational reserve. We are more careful with our spending than other municipalities because the city of San Luis mostly depends on one source of income. This means we need to be very prepared for any economic problems. We also allocate a budget for contingencies and adhere to state status. As we prepare for the fiscal year 2025, it is important for us to think about ways to bring in more resources and not just rely on sales tax. This will help us grow and manage our city's needs better. Everything is possible by working together. Thank you, and that concludes my presentation. I don't. Is there any question that I may answer? Do you have any question for us?
Anybody from council or department heads that has any questions? This is a time to ask questions. I thank you. It was a great presentation. It gave us a true insight of the city's finances. It cannot be more clear than the way you put it. For that, thank you. We know our limitations. We here at council try to help all of you department heads with all your needs, but there's only so much we can do. I mean, it's sad, but it's true. We're trying to do our best. And I know that all of you are doing a great job, and it's like sending you to a war without having any guns to defend yourselves. So we cannot expect any more from you guys if we're not able to give you what you need so you guys can do the job that you're supposed to be doing. And regardless, all of you are doing a great job with so little resources. It doesn't go unnoticed, and in behalf of the council and myself, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rolla.
Should I start now?
Yes,
Okay.
please.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members, city staff, as well as the audience. So today, Jorge Perez, Assistant Director of Public Works, Manny Hernandez, Assistant of Public Works, and I, Eulogio Rivera, Director of Public Works, were representing the Public Works budget for fiscal year 2025.
Thank you.
Forgot to start the presentation. So, with that said, Public Works is actually a pretty interesting and diverse department. I mean, we mainly focus on providing customer service, internal as well as external to our community. We currently have 7 divisions, which is administration, streets, water, wastewater, fleet, solid waste. And in fiscal year 25, we'll be adding facilities. As you've seen in the organization chart that was provided, Public Works is a fairly large department, close to 100 positions within the department, including facilities. So with that, our presentation today will be mainly be completed by Mr. Perez and Mr. Hernandez, splitting the divisions between water, wastewater, street, solid waste, and facilities. Actually, no, facilities will still be presented by Mrs. Dueñas this year. Actually, I want to take the time also to thank council and admin for supporting the second Assistant Public Works Director position. That has been very helpful this fiscal year and getting a lot of the projects completed, as well as keeping them moving forward. Under Public Works Admin, this fiscal year we're asking for a administrative assistant position, mainly to assist the 2 current administrative coordinators that we have within the admin for the entire division. This position will help with succession planning of the existing coordinators. as capital improvements for the Public Works admin. There's a East Wing reconfiguration project that will be completed next fiscal year, which is to be designed this fiscal year. In the engineering department, we're asking for a position reclassification of a current engineering technician position to an inspector. That's mainly to be able to compensate our staffing for the work that they're currently doing and have been doing for years now. We're asking for a new position for a project coordinator with the more improvements projects as well as new development projects. We're looking for this position to work under the project manager to help with managing of the projects. Before moving on to the other slides covering the different departments, I just want to expand a little bit on what was presented by our finance department. So the city of San Luis is a fast-growing city. We all know that. It's tough to keep up with the development, keep up with trying to keep services and the quality of the service that we provide. Nonetheless, trying to fund all the different needs that everybody has. However, I just want to point out on the water and wastewater side, same thing with streets. You know, there's really a minimum that we have to maintain. Anything less sort of becomes either unsafe on the roadway side, or we're out of compliance on the water and wastewater side. So that's sort of, I think, some of the reasons that we're having to fund some of this water and wastewater facilities or improvements as well as on the roadway side. We appreciate, council's support as well as admin support. Some of these projects were started this fiscal year, and due to the long lead times on much of the equipment and supply chain issues as well, they've been sort of are going to be running into next fiscal year. But all started with COVID. Really hasn't gone better in some areas like electrical, and instrumentation has actually gone worse. So thanks for everybody's patience. And that's why sort of some of these projects are sort of taking it slow. It's taking longer for completion. I'm going back. So before turning it over to Mr. Hernandez to cover the Highway Users Division, I want to speak a little bit of one of the largest projects that I think the city has undertaken in a long time, and which is Cesar Chavez Boulevard. Cesar Chavez Boulevard is one of those projects that's been on our top priority for years. I think from previous councils, we've been looking for funding, grants through the YMPO, but finally it's been funded, and the city really is having to have to find a way to complete it. Fortunately, we got some grant funding. We have some state appropriations funding as well. But either way, there's a lot of challenges that come with this project, which includes a lot of the utility coordinations or relocations have to come from the city funding. And that includes water and wastewater, new infrastructure as well as relocations. Those need to be completed before the roadway starts construction. And those will be discussed a little bit further on the different slides. So with that said, Cesar Chavez Boulevard is a big undertaking. And since I'm on that side, I might as well cover 10th Avenue. 10th Avenue widening is a project that's going to be designed this fiscal year from Cesar Chavez Boulevard to County 22nd. We're going to be looking at improving or widening that road next fiscal year to having a lane in each direction and a turn lane. And this year we're looking at doing the design for that project. Now I'll turn it over to Mr. Hernandez to go finish the slide and move on to highway users.
Thank you, Elohio. Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, honorable council members, and staff. My name is Manuel Hernandez. I am the Assistant Director here at Public Works, and I currently oversee Fleet Services, Solid Waste, and Highway Users Division. For the next few slides, I'm going to be going over our budget requests. For the Highway Users Division, we are not asking for any new positions, but we are asking for a position reclassification for our heavy equipment operator to become a senior heavy equipment operator. And the purpose for that is first and foremost for retention and to compensate, like Elohio says, highly skilled employees doing above and beyond what their current job descriptions entail. As you can see, we have a long list of roadway projects, starting with County 22nd and 4th Avenue. The projects will consist of approximately 1/3 of a mile of new roadway. It's going to incorporate east and northbound turn lanes and a traffic signalization. The project also is under design with NEI Engineering. Public Works plans on going out to bid on this project approximately May 19th of this year. All the long lead items have been ordered. County 22nd and Sidewinder Road, Phase 2. The project's going to consist of traffic signalization of all three of the three-way intersection. Design is at 100% complete. All the long lead items have been ordered, and Public Works plans on going out to bid approximately May 19th. The point of entry GSA improvements to U Street. The projects consist of improvements to the intersections at Urtuaski Street and Main Street, at U Street and Archibald, and improvements to the north side of Urtuaski Street. I have a difficult time pronouncing that. My apologies. Union Street and 4th Avenue intersection improvements. So this project is going to consist of traffic signalization of the three-way intersection. The project will consist of approximately 3/4 of a mile of new roadway. The south leg will match the new Cesar Chavez Boulevard design, and it will include a middle turn lane, bike lanes, as well as sidewalks. 10th Avenue and Los Alamos curve. The project primarily is going to be focused on safety improvements to the Los Alamos curve. ADOT will be managing the project. Reoccurring pavement preservation. This is an ongoing operation that we do throughout the year, throughout the years. And we identify areas where pavement preservation is needed, and we apply pavement preservation services there. For Avenue B shoulder improvements, the project's going to consist of installation of a 5-foot pavement shoulder and edge line rumble strips. The length of the project's approximately 5 miles long. It starts at County 18th and finishes off at County 23rd. Project overall cost is about $4.4 million. Our match will be approximately $75,000. 5th Avenue and Kennedy Lane improvements. This will consist of an internal project. So what that means is that we'll be performing the work in-house with our staff, our resources, and our team. The purpose of the project is to address the depressed cross gutters at the intersection. Anyone familiar with this area? So this would be 5th Avenue and Kennedy Lane. We received numerous complaints throughout the year from our residents, so we're going to address it this coming fiscal year. Liberty Street and 7th Place. So this is a drainage improvement project consisting of repairing the drainage and puddling issues that occur at this location after rain events. I found out about this problem. It was actually my first call as a new employee here about a year and 5 months ago. I received a phone call in Spanish. The resident was complaining. Well, no, the resident was actually telling me in Spanish, saying, mijo, excuse my Spanish, but she said, mijo, soy la señora de la libertad. And I thought she had made a mistake and called the wrong Public Works. I thought she was reaching across the border. And once we clarified that, she said, no, mijo, they know about me, just send them over. And sure enough, I found out about the problem, and we're going to be addressing that this fiscal year. 6th Avenue extension design. So this project will consist of completing a roadway design for a new road that will connect 6th Avenue to County 22nd. Radio system upgrades. As some of you know, here in our area region, we have issues with radio connectivity as well as cellular or mobile phones. And so working with, we actually test drove the competitors here, their radio systems, and we couldn't get them to work in what we call the east area, right? And so we partnered up with YRCS, which provides the service to all of our public safety, fire, PD, et cetera. And so we tried theirs out using older radios, and they worked perfectly fine. So where our ask is we're requesting that amount to replace our current radios. Fleet Services Division. So our ask for this year, because we're very grateful for the new building, the beautiful facility you guys given us, so we're very grateful for that. This year we're not asking for new positions, we're only asking for a position reclassification. This was on a recommendation from the Human Resources Department. They explained to us that the current office assistant is doing more or outside, is working out at class, performing certain duties within our financial management software, as well as billing assignments. Solid Waste Division. For the Solid Waste Division, we're not asking for any, we're asking for one new position, a heavy equipment operator. So currently, in order to complete our daily routes throughout the week, Solid Waste has to continue to reach out to highway users for their staff to drive the vehicles when needed. So if someone gets sick, we're down a route, so someone has to cover that. So with the advent of a new heavy equipment operator position, Solid Waste can be sustainable. It will stay within its own budget, within its own fund. Currently, like I said, it has to go over to highway users to use their resources. And lastly, for capital outlay, last year, thankfully, mayor and council approved, last September, approved a 12-month lease on the 2024 Peterbilt. And so successfully we were able to secure it, and we've been paying on it. So this is the buyout price. This is after a large deduction of 50% of the entire 12-month lease. So that $339 is actually, it was actually much more. And so we're going to be requesting to purchase that this coming September. And as you know, lastly, that solid waste trucks, new ones, are very difficult to find, and often semi-fought over to acquire them. And solid waste, just like the other divisions within Public Works, is in need of a communication system, right? And with that, I'll turn that presentation over to Jorge Perez, Assistant Director, Public Works. Thank you.
On the two previous slides, I think on the admin assistant reclass. One more. So you said that currently we have an office assistant right there, right? And it has been identified that that person is doing those duties, correct?
Yes, council member, that's correct.
So how come we don't reclassify it today if that person has been identified as already doing the duties?
That's a great question, council member. I will reach out to Human Resources to discuss that.
Currently, they have an office assistant, but it's not a permanent position. It's like a seasonal position because they have budget available since they have vacant civil engineering. So this position is not funded like by the city, it's just a temporary position, and so they are requesting a new position for administrative assistant.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that part, but if that person is already doing the duties today, how come it's not being compensated accordingly?
Oh, she's working part-time, right?
It's a gentleman. It's a gentleman. It's a full-time position as office assistant, and this is within the fleet services, not the public works admin. In public works admin, we have the,
Sorry about that.
Anything else? Yeah, he answered, he says could you please repeat?
Yes, what I mentioned was that we will be reaching out to human resources regarding your comment, yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for bringing that up.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Mr. Hernandez, while you're up there, just a question. Can you share the trash, the side loader? Is it working well? Any issues with it?
I greatly appreciate you bringing that up. So, yes. So, when I first arrived here, we had numerous complaints, about routes not being fulfilled or just service in general, right? And then internally, we had issues with our trucks going down and maybe being late on providing the services. But since your support, remember, you bought us one new solid waste truck, right? The side loader. And then you leased two brand new solid waste loaders, like fresh off the manufacturer floor. So we have now 3 brand new side loaders, right? So we have a full fleet of 7 side loaders. We have 5 routes, so we have 2 spares, which puts us in a great place. So if 2 vehicles go down, you still continue doing business. And that's a great way to be, I think.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any more questions from council? No. Let's continue.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members, department heads, and members of the public. My name is Jorge Perez. I'm the Assistant Director of Public Works, currently overseeing the divisions of water and wastewater under the direction of Mr. Eulogio Vera. And eventually, we'll also be overseeing the division of facilities maintenance during fiscal year 25. I'm going to start with the presentation on the water division, but please feel free to interrupt me at any time if you have any questions or comments, or more than gladly to answer questions at the end, however you wish. So under the water department, Department of Public Works is asking for a new water operator apprentice position. We're very, very, very grateful, especially kudos to the Department of HR. They've been very helpful in the recruitment process of new positions. And in this case, with the creation and implementation of an apprenticeship program for the water and wastewater divisions. We struggle during the past years on the recruitment side of personnel and talent. But with the creation of this program, we've been able to attract young individuals in which we can show them the ropes of the water and wastewater divisions, and then eventually to become water and wastewater operators. Under the capital improvement projects for water division, we're going to start with the well site number 5 project, which is a continuation project. It's a project that is currently ongoing, and it entails the construction of a new well and a new manganese treatment system to be placed at the current public works yard, and also known as the well site number 5. This is a ongoing project, multi-year and multi-million project. The city, and with the help of and approval of council, we have procured the filtration system, the metal building for the project. The well, it's drilled and here near completion in the next couple of weeks. And in this upcoming year, the department is seeking the construction and bringing together of all of the moving components of this project into a reality. The next project will be the construction of a new 2 million gallon concrete water storage tank at the well site number 7, which is the facility that we have on East San Luis. And this is also a multi-year, multi-million project that was already awarded to a contractor. This is an ongoing project and will encroach into the here upcoming fiscal year. Under the water capital projects, we also have another continuation project, which is the rehabilitation of a water storage tank at our well site number 6. Or well site number 6, it's the one located near San Luis Lane and 10th Avenue. This tank rehabilitation was one project that was put together for this year, fiscal year 24, and it also entailed the rehab of the tank that is currently at well site 5. That rehabilitation has been completed, though due to the water demand and then weather constraints, and then some setbacks on the construction and rehabilitation of tank number 6, we're being forced to push this project to the next fiscal year. This will be completed starting in October, and we hope to have it all done by the end of fiscal year 25. The next project is Cesar Chavez Boulevard water improvements. As Mr. Elogio mentioned earlier, the road improvements, how can I say it? We're all happy to have that project undergoing and knowing that it's being funded and it's going to become a reality. But actually, so before those improvements begin, the city and its water and wastewater department has some additional work to do. And in this case, we need to provide some water improvements to water mains and then provide service connections to those lots that are adjacent to the boulevard, so that later on in the future, we don't have to be cutting a brand new road. Next, we have electrical upgrade and piping improvements to the well site number 3. This is the well site that we have on 6th Avenue and B Street. This well site requires a new service entrance, a new electrical equipment to be upgraded. And then eventually, once our well site number 5, which is the very first project I spoke about, it's fully operational. We're also looking into abandoning well sites number 1 and 2, which are the smallest and oldest well sites in town. And actually, well site number 2, it's in the way of the Cesar Chavez Boulevard. So once the boulevard gets improved, the well site needs to be removed. And then the next project on the water division is the radio system upgrade. Very similar, and it's actually the same project that Mr. Hernandez mentioned for the divisions of solid waste and highway users. We're also doing it for water and wastewater. And that'll cover the water division. No questions?
Any questions from council? Department heads? Well, it's not even a question, it's a comment. I think it will be a good idea to put numbers on the wells, because we know where water well number 1, 2, 5, 7, but a lot of people do not know, and maybe just, put in a number, well number 4. So when people says, I live in the vicinity of well number 4, I think it will help.
Physical signage on the
Yeah,
all right.
yeah, on the tank.
We'll look into
mean,
that, Mayor.
If we have enough money to do it, if not, we'll wait.
I think we do have some signage on the doors, on the chain link fences, but are small.
Yeah,
So we can look into making those signage, those signs larger.
thank you.
Definitely.
Anybody else? No?
Mayor, I'd like to just make a comment. $7 million in projects for the water division. And these are the type of projects that, unfortunately, the community doesn't see on a daily basis. It's not a park, it's not a street, it's not an improvement to a facility, but it is an improvement to our infrastructure. So I think it's important that we show this and share with the community via social media, videos. Hey, this is where your money's going. This is where we have to invest the money, because they're going to say, well, what did you guys do this fiscal year? You guys didn't do any projects. Well, unfortunately, we did do projects, but they're not just projects that it's not going to be a brand new park. It's not going to be Veterans Park, unfortunately, because we need to invest this money that hasn't been invested in many, many years. And it's taking away from our capacity to work on other crucial projects that we have, or other needs and wants that the community is asking for. But unfortunately, not everyone is educated about all these projects. So I think it's important that we let them know, hey, $7 million of this capital improvement projects are going for the destination of the water division. Something that you might not see on a daily basis, but you use on a daily basis.
You benefit from it. See, when it comes from you, it sounds great. You know, it makes sense when it comes from you, Councilmember Cabrera. If I were to say exactly the same words, people do not understand it, and that's where I get confused. What is the difference? Because I've been saying this to a lot of people, and it's like, no. But if I was a resident, I perfectly understand what you're saying. We barely meeting the needs of the people of San Luis. You guys in these departments are creating miracles. And it's gonna be a day that when people start complaining about the quality or they're not receiving these services the way they have been used to, and then that's when the pointing fingers starts. But it starts with the people, including me, that use these services day in and day out, and it doesn't happen just like that. It takes money to take care of the needs of our community. So, Councilmember Cabrera, I thank you. Yes, please.
I just would like to add, as far as educating the public also, they think because they pay water rates and, you know, all them other fees they pay, that they think, you know, they need to be educated exactly where it goes. Because we understand that what they pay for their water and all that, it can only be spent for items, for filters for the water, for tanks. And this is not $100,000 project. These are $1 million projects. Because we get questioned, and this is a perfect example, like Councilmember Cabrera says, you know, we do need to educate. But an example, we had a city council meeting. There was people complaining. They complained, but they didn't stay to hear one of the projects that got funded and how it got funded. So we understand people are complaining because they don't understand how this works. But so, yes, you know, I just wanted to make that comment.
Thank you.
Thank you, council members, for your comments. And yes, I do agree. We need to do a much better work on educating our community, our public, our residents. And yes, so the water and wastewater, as you know, are enterprise funds, and whatever revenue they generate, it goes to that specific fund. We cannot use funding from water to build a road or to buy a solid waste truck.
Thank you.
With that said, I'm gonna move over to the wastewater division. And one comment I want to say, seeing the number of projects and the size of the projects that we have on these two divisions, these are projects that we don't see every year. And then at this time, they came at the same time. But we probably won't be seeing another well in a few years. It's not we don't construct wells every year. A wastewater expansion, we don't do it every year. So these are projects that came together at the same time, even including the Boulevard expansion. So on the moving over to the wastewater division, we're also asking for a new operator apprentice position, in the same manner as we're doing in the water division. We're getting new development, the city's growing, and we need to keep up with the infrastructure and the maintenance and the services that we provide. Thus the need to grow our divisions. Moving over to the projects for wastewater, the very first one in front of you is the East Wastewater Treatment Plant improvements. And this is a project that is currently ongoing. We have a contractor under contract that is already working on these improvements. And then, so the benefit of this improvements is that it'll allow us to once we get to the construction on the west plant, have a upgraded plant on the east that will sustain the flows that we're gonna be sending over there. In the meantime, we construct on the west. The next project will be the west wastewater treatment plant expansion. In front of you, you see an amount of 6 million, but this is only for fiscal, this is a quantity that we're estimating for fiscal year 25. The overall project, we have a cost estimate that rounds the 30 million overall construction and design. We already have a firm selected under a request of qualification process to do the design of this expansion. We're working with them on the contractual agreement, and then we're planning on moving forward onto the design and then construction. This project will be handled as a construction manager at risk project, which means we're bringing the contractor on board during the design process. The contractor will work along with the engineer designing the plant in an effort to make it an easier to construct plant, and it'll streamline the construction time as well. One thing to comment, and then going back to my initial comment on the wastewater side, is that we don't construct these projects every time or every day or every year. The initial construction of the wastewater plant on the west was in 1982. It was then expanded in 2002, and we're now looking into the second expansion in 2026. On wastewater, we also have Cesar Chavez Boulevard improvements that we need to do on our wastewater mains, forced mains, and manholes on that corridor. The project has been funded for the roadway construction, but then the utilities underneath that are city property, which are water and wastewater, there are improvements that we need to do to those before the actual roadway construction. We also have a SCADA integration for the wastewater division. For SCADA, we're currently doing an analysis of our facilities, what we have, and then we're looking into then moving to a design process. And then this 500,000 that you're seeing in front of you entails integration and then purchase of equipment. SCADA will allow us to be a more technological department. Will allow us to manage effectively our facilities and have a better response for any contingency that may arise. We also have Escondido lift station relocation. Escondido station, it's located on Escondido Street and intersecting with Cesar Chavez Boulevard. And it also goes along, or it's in the same intersection as San Luis Plaza Drive. This intersection, or this lift station on that corner may be affected or impacted by the road construction of Cesar Chavez Boulevard as well. So we're asking for 300,000 for a relocation of this lift station. But it is important to mention that we're still evaluating if it can stay where it's currently at and do a rehab of the station, or if it'll be merely relocated to a different location. We also have a recurring project that we ask every year, which is the sewer manhole repairs and replacements. So our infrastructure, it's aging, so we're looking, same as we do with pavement preservation, we want to do it with our manholes. We want to review them every year, and we want to allocate X amount of funding as available and as awarded to do improvements in phases. We also have a lift station rehabilitation on Lakin. This lift station, it's on Main Street and Lakin Drive, and we're asking for 100,000 for the rehab of this lift station. This lift station has been in service for over 27 years, and it hasn't been rehabilitated in the past. And then lastly, same as with the water department, highway users department, and solid waste, we're looking into upgrade our radio system in the wastewater division for enhancing communication among our staff. And that'll conclude the Public Works presentation. Happy to answer any questions that you may have.
I guess not. Questions, comments? Great presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 2B, discussion and review on any and all matters regarding the proposed changes to the city's health benefits plan for fiscal year 2024-2025 by Mr. Oscar A. Diaz, Civi's Vice President of Business Development.
I want to thank the city for inviting me to attend today. I want to thank the mayor, vice mayor, and the city council members. I love your artwork. I'm a former member of the Chicanos por la Casa board, so as I see all this beautiful artwork, it speaks to me a little bit in my heart. So it's great to be here. As your new benefits consultants, we have gone through the process of getting as familiar with your plan as possible in the last 3.5 months. I wanted to just show you some pictures and illustrate who our team members are. In fact, a couple of the team members here, Jennifer Aragon and Debbie Jameson, were here just this last week conducting open enrollment. They had presentations with employees. The feedback I got from them was that the participation was really good. The questions went really well. So we were happy to be here to represent ourselves and also to represent the city to the employees and to represent the benefits plan. These are just some of the other folks within our organization that members of finance, members of HR, our team members will have interaction with throughout the time we spend as your employee benefits consultant. I thought it was important to show you that we had a pretty deep bench of the people that are supporting our efforts to make sure that we provide you with the best health insurance plan and best overall benefits plan possible. So these are our folks here. As we get into the presentation, I wanted to give you a quick overview of some of the things that changed last year, because during the 2023-2024 plan year, you had some significant changes that occurred to your plan. So you changed third-party administrators. So anytime an employer changes the third-party administrator, that's a pretty big deal. There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes. There are a lot of things that had to happen for that to occur. We've been working with the new third-party administrator, HealthComp, since we were hired on. There have been a few little challenges in working with them. There have been a few little glitches. We're trying to make sure that we get all those worked out. That isn't unusual during the first year of a plan, but we are working to try to get those smoothed out. The good thing is the glitches that we're encountering aren't things that are affecting employees. They're just things that are happening behind the scenes that we're working out with them. You also changed stop-loss insurance carriers. So under a self-funded arrangement, stop-loss insurance is there to protect not only your employees from having too much out-of-pocket expense, but also protecting the plan. So protecting the trust and protecting the plan from having those expenses. There was a change from Symetra to Matrix, and that resulted in a decrease in premium of 6.18%, and resulted in a reduction in stop-loss premiums from $750,000 to about $703,000. We also had in that contract what's called a lasered a person for $185,000. We're working to try to get that removed during your current renewal. So when I talk about the renewal, we'll talk a little bit about that. You had some changes on your Mexico plan. You had some changes on your Mexico medical and dental plan, and then you had some vision changes as well. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail on those. I just wanted to remind you that in the last cycle, there were some changes that were going on that had a positive effect on employees and had a positive effect on the trust. As we look at 2024 and 2025 changes, some of the things that we've gone in to do is eliminate some of the commissions that were built in the plans. When you hired us on a flat rate fee, and there were some commissions that were previously built in. So we're going through the process of getting rid of those commissions. So when you look at the Teladoc program, we're going to reduce the cost of the city by about $4,400. The VSP program is going to reduce the cost of the city by about $2,800. And then on my way here, Standard Insurance did send me what the savings will be on commissions there, and we're looking at about a $23,000 savings on the life insurance, on the short-term disability and long-term disability. So when you add it all up, we're looking at about $30,000 in savings to the city. These are actually your savings to the plan. So that's one of the extra benefits that we brought as we came to the city and offered a flat rate fee. Blue Cross Blue Shield does have a small increase. So Blue Cross Blue Shield is the provider network that's under your medical insurance plan, your Arizona-based medical plan. So we're going to see a small increase of about $1,800 there. Okay. Wanted to get since the health insurance costs and the dental insurance costs are such a big portion of the benefits that are offered to employees, and they're tucked into the trust. I wanted to go ahead and just give you a quick history here on what happened. And these here, there's a little bit of a change on this slide. It should only say medical plan claim cost history. And the reason why is that as we go into the renewal discussion, under the stop loss insurance renewal, the stop loss insurance only covers the medical plan. There is no stop loss insurance for the dental plan. So what I went and did is I went back and I took a look at your history. And as you can see there, your history has a lot of ups and downs. But in the 2021, 2022 year and the 2022, 2023 year, you had quite an escalation there. That had some pretty big impacts on the cost of your stop loss insurance. So you saw some pretty sizable increases. And then what we've seen here in the 2023, 2024 plan year, this is annualized. So we've seen a pretty big correction so far. So far what we're annualizing, and this is just an estimate, is that the cost of the health insurance to the trust will be down by about $658,000. So we're keeping our fingers crossed that that's going to be okay. You never know what can pop up, but that number is a pretty good number so far. So that's what we're working on that number when we're working on negotiating your renewal with your stop loss insurance carrier. As we take a look here. In 2023, 2022, 2023, you spent about $3 million. This included your admin fees, it included your stop loss insurance costs, it included your claims costs. We're estimating that you're going to come in at about $2.2 million based on the current run rate. So you're about $879,000 ahead of the prior year. And that's $879,000 based on what the plan is being funded based on the budget that's being used by the city and the trust. Okay, so that's very good news. When we take a look at your preliminary individual and aggregate stop loss insurance renewals, the reason it says preliminary is we are within 2 weeks of finalizing the actual renewals. They're preliminary in that the first year of a new stop loss vendor contract, they will spend a little more time in getting the numbers in to be able to give us a final renewal. The reason they do that is because during that first year, we're only going to see about 9 months worth of claims come in. There's a lag on the front end by the time claims get processed and paid. So they want to make sure they have as many claims in there before they commit to the renewal. At this point in time, your current combined stop loss insurance costs are about $716,000. The individual stop loss renewal is coming in at about a 10% increase, so it's going to increase by about $69,000. Now, we're still negotiating this. My opinion is you shouldn't be getting an increase at all based on the fact that you're running better. So we're going to have that discussion and that fight back and forth with the stop loss insurance vendor and try to get you the best rate possible. Your aggregate stop loss actually went down. So we're seeing about a $10,000 decrease on your stop loss, aggregate stop loss insurance. So that's a good sign. And then when we take a look at your risk, they take into account what the new risk factors are. They're estimating that the risk factor is going to go up by about 8.4% or $60,000. Again, we don't agree with their numbers. If you're on a downward slope on your claims costs, then there shouldn't be an additional increase on your liability costs. So that's a fight we're going to continue to have with a stop loss insurance company on your behalf. Okay. When we go here, we're looking at the preliminary expected claims liability. It's about a 11% increase, or $330,000. Your maximum liability, which is the maximum the trust would ever pay on all claims for all employees, goes up to about 11%, up about $392,000. Again, we're contesting this on your behalf. We don't think that there's any reason why they should be giving you this size of an increase. Okay. Currently, your individual stop loss limit is $50,000. We made a recommendation to move that up to $100,000, and then add another thing called an aggregating specific deductible on top of that. That would result in about a $225,000 decrease to the plan in fixed costs. So based on our experience in working with employers of your size, employers larger than you, when we take a look at that individual limit level, which is exactly that, for every covered person, there's a limit of $50,000 that's paid by the plan, by the trust, and then it's reinsured. And working with our underwriters and actuaries in our office, the number you should be at is probably closer to about $125,000. We didn't want to make that big of a leap for you, so we're doubling it from $50,000 to $100,000. Again, that will result in a cost savings of about $225,000 to the trust. Okay. We also did not recommend any changes to employee contributions. So those of your employees and got your new booklets this year and maybe went through the open enrollment process, you saw there was no increase to your contributions this year. Okay. Some of the things that we're working on as well, we have a well-being team. So our well-being team has been engaging with HR. So we're working on to release a benefit survey. So it's not just a benefit survey, it's also a cultural survey. And the reason we do that is you try to get to the bottom of what's going on within the organization and try to find out what the employees' needs are. Are their needs based on health? Are they based on wellness? Are they based on financial concerns? And then try to work with you to develop a wellness program that actually meets the needs of the employees as opposed to guessing at it. A lot of wellness programs just kind of guess at it and say, okay, we're going to have a diabetes program or we're going to have a weight loss program. But if that's not what your employees and their dependents are looking for, it sometimes misses the mark. So it's always good for us to come in and find out what does that look like. So those of you who are employees here, when you get the survey, please, please, please complete the survey. And if you're in leadership, please make sure your employees complete the survey. It's important because this is going to create a wellness and well-being strategy into the next few years. And then we're going to go back and measure that to make sure it's working. What your employees may want now may be different next year, might be different a few years from now. So, but we want to make sure that we're addressing that through the wellness and the well-being program. We're also discussing the possibility of creating a well-being committee. So I'll put that on Adela. We think it's great to have representatives. Anybody here want to volunteer now? Just raise your hand. We think it's great to have representation from each of the departments. So that way those departments are heard and there's not just one department who's getting their needs met. When we see our clients do that, the employees engage a little bit more. They become champions. They go back to their departments. They tell their fellow employees what a great program it is, to engage, to be part of it, and then everybody benefits from that. So we'll be working on that as well. We're going through the discussions of a third-party vendor to a well-being vendor. We just replaced one, so we're going to be looking at the possibility, do we actually need a vendor or not? Some of our clients do very well by having their wellness and well-being committee members actually run the program with our assistants. Some of our clients prefer to have a third-party vendor to do that. So we're going to go through that process. If that's a process, we'll come back to you and explain to you what that cost will be. We'll go through the trust for that. Okay. Other things that we're working on, a future medical plan audit, and then a possible future review of the medical plan options that are available in Mexico. So got a few things we're working on, and if there's any input from you or any input from your employees that you want to run through HR that they can bring to us, we'd be happy to take that into account. We want to make sure that in every situation that we're working on behalf of the city, that the benefits are as good as they can be, and that employees are seeing the value in those benefits as well. Okay. And I just have a general question. How did you like the new booklets? Did you like the way they were laid out, the information that was in there? Okay. We'd like to get feedback on that as well. If there's something that you think might have been changed, something that we want to add to that booklet, again, let HR know, and if we go through the process for next year, we'll go ahead and make those changes as well. All right. That's my presentation. Thank you so much again for the opportunity.
Any questions or comments from council?
I do have a couple questions. What type of questions or comments did the employees have during the open enrollment meeting?
I don't know yet. I haven't debriefed with my staff on that yet.
Oh, So you were not,
I didn't come, so my two staff members were here.
okay. And what's the difference between, the wellness committee that the city, do we have it, or they disappeared? We had a wellness committee to a well-being committee.
It's gonna be the same.
It's gonna be the same or it's two different ones?
No, they'll be incorporated together. I mean, well, so we don't look at it as wellness, we look at it as well-being. Wellness tends to focus on just the physical aspects of well-being. Our well-being program goes beyond that. It looks at the family situation, it looks at financial well-being, it looks at mental health well-being. So as we go through that process, we're gonna wanna make sure that whatever you have in place now tucks that in. And if there's an expansion of the committee, more people involved, then we'll help with that as well.
Okay. So more of an overall,
Yes, more holistic.
okay. And you said that we had, no changes to employee contributions. Are you planning any changes to co-payments or deductibles?
No, there's no plan changes this year.
Okay. And how do your meetings went with, I know when you first presented to the trust with the health comp and the Mexican provider?
Well, we've been meeting with HealthCom pretty regularly. Again, we're trying to work out some of the bugs. There are some issues with billing, things of that sort. So we're trying to make sure that they're doing what is expected of them. I think for them, they're missing the mark in a few places because we're coming to them and saying, what about this? And they're not able to respond and having to go back and take a look. We think we'll have it all smoothed out. It's just a matter of making sure that everything is running the way it should be running. We met with the Mexico plan, was it 2 weeks ago? Mayor, 2 weeks ago?
A couple of weeks ago,
Yeah.
yes.
I think there's a sincere interest, I would say, from SireMed to address some of the issues that have been around for a while, that they were unaware of. I think there's a sincere desire for them to listen. One of the recommendations we made is that if there are situations that are going on there, then we would like them to be here to have appointments with individual employees to hear about that. Because there could be situations that just happen to occur, and there could be situations that might be endemic within the way the organization is being run. And we want them to hear that from actual patients, from your employees, their members. If there's a pattern, then they need to address that pattern, whether it's with them or their provider network. They need to make sure that they're aware of that. There was, I would say, some surprise as to some of the things they heard that they said they hadn't heard in the past. So I think it was a good opportunity for them to understand. I think now it's just a matter of them understanding to the point where they're improving on things that need to be improved upon.
Thank you.
Anybody else? If not, I will entertain a motion to continue this tomorrow.
I move to continue the budget retreat to tomorrow morning.
There's a motion, a second. All those in favor signifying by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.